Hello and welcome back to Legendary Lunacy, guys. I'm your host, Lord Papa Lunacy, and we got another short story today, another one by Emma Froh. At the end of the last story we did with her, it was we talked about how there was a little addendum that said preserved in memory of Emma Froh, who died in 2014, and I wondered if that was part of the story because it seemed like the story was first person perspective, and it just kind of seemed to be tied onto that. But I looked it up, and it's actually the author did pass away, and so I wanted to do another one by her because I enjoyed her story. I thought it was good. It was a little different, but this is another one by her, Emma Froh, and it seems like some of her stories are preserved on creepypasta.com after her passing. So without further ado, we'll get right into it. This is News from the Front by Emma Froh. Awash with terror, I lay in bed, jumping and flinching at every creak. The old country house had always made such noises at night. The beams would creak, the windows would knock, and the wind would howl down the fireplace. I had not always been so afraid of these sounds, but then again, I had not always been alone. My husband and I had moved to the village 5 years ago. We had just married, and the house was just right for us. I admit it was a bit weather-worn, but my husband Paul could afford it, and there was a job available in the village post as the village postmaster. He bought the house, took the job, and we were happy. Oh, so happy there. Here. The wind could scream bloody murder, and the house itself could shake, but with Paul here, I feared nothing. That was before, though. Before the war. Before enlistment. Before our men were sent to fight and fester and die in those god-awful trenches in France, so I lay alone on a cold, windy night, both scared of the unearthly things that could be upon me in the unsettled house, and scared of all too earthly dangers facing my husband and far across the channel. Context. It's a strange thing. Some things within a certain context can be dull and boring, warranting no thought or attention, though in a different context, the same thing, noise in this case, can be terrifying. The noise I heard that night would be, in the right context, so very dull. But in bed alone, in my old house, the sound scared me to my very bones. Someone had just unlocked the front door and was walking towards the stairs. I lost feeling in my feet. My hands tingled with pins and needles, and my mouth went deathly dry as I listened to the heavy boots trudge across the floorboards. Approaching the stairs, my stomach turned as I was attempting to physically expel the new, tangible, poisonous fear from my body. I did not have time to react further as the boots hurried up the stairs and a hand came around the bedroom door. I was at the point of passing out as the man's face appeared. How soon and how much everything changed in an instant. I yelled and cried at him as I jumped into his arms. Paul, you're home. We both sat on the bed in tears as he struggled to find the words to explain his return. He explained all about the shelling that came under and his time in the army hospital with Reg, who would happen to be both my neighbor and my best friend Meg's husband. Paul explained that the shrapnel in his arms and back, his discharge from the service, and how Reg should soon be discharged as well. Soon thereafter, he retired to bed without so much as a bite to eat. I suspected he was merely exhausted. I slept soundly that night. Paul was up and dressed when I woke the next morning. He said he had no time for breakfast and he was off to the post office to resume his duties as postmaster. I found this unusual. However, I didn't say a word, as I was simply happy to have him home, and imagined, though, that he was adjusting back to life at home. Paul was scarcely gone for 2 hours before he returned with a huge sack of letters, which he promptly dumped onto the kitchen table. He sat sorting the correspondence for an hour or so. I couldn't help but notice that he had placed roughly 24 pieces of mail in a small iron waste bucket we kept next to the stove. Upon noticing my curiosity, Paul explained that they were rubbish, and I was to burn them. Then, with a harshness that I've never heard in his voice, he told me not to open or read a single one. They were to be destroyed and nothing more. After he had made his demands known, he left on his rounds. The minute he was out of sight, I grabbed the letters from the iron bin and did as I was told, burned them in the stove one by one. After the 5th letter, however, I began to notice a pattern. All the letters were addressed to a woman, addressed to women in our village, or to those in neighboring towns, and they all had the army seal on them. I was puzzled by this, but my general confusion gave way to horror as I came upon the 8th letter. It was addressed to me. Shaking and losing more of my composure with each passing second, I opened the letter and began to read. It was an official letter to me, offering condolences and informing me that Paul, along with his company, had been killed in action. Foolishly, I cast the letter into the stove, destroying it. After a few moments of nonsensical weeping, I looked through the other letters. The final piece of mail was addressed to my neighbor, Meg. Paul came home later that evening. For the second night in a row, he refused to eat. At that moment, I began to realize that not only had I not seen him eat or drink since he'd been home, but I had not seen him sleep either. Moments later, Paul interrupted my reverie, asking me coldly if I had destroyed the letters as he asked. I nodded to say yes. After all, it wasn't nearly true. I destroyed all the letters, all of them but one, the one addressed to Meg. That night in bed, though, my eyes were closed. I could feel Paul staring at me. He stared for hours. When he eventually rose from bed sometime after midnight, I imagined it was because he was certain I'd fallen asleep. I strained my ears. I could hear him downstairs speaking aloud in a strange voice. It was Paul, but it wasn't. It was not English he was speaking, or any other language I recognized. The next morning, I woke to find Paul in the same as before. Dressed, refusing breakfast, and on his way to work. But that day I had a plan. If I could just get to Meg and show her the letter, the two of us could think of a way out of this hell. I was close to losing my composure again as I knocked firmly on Meg's door. She answered the door smiling broadly from ear to ear. Before I could break down, show her the letter, and explain what had happened, she spoke 5 little words. "Reg came home last night." And with those little words, she crushed any hope I had of escaping that nightmare. Fighting the knots in my stomach, I managed to ask Meg where Reg was. She told me that he had accompanied Paul to the county post sorting office to accept a nice new job. Now, this all happened 3 months ago. Since then, dozens of men have come home. Without exception, and thanks to my Paul, all of them have been given jobs at the new post office and other communication services. When I lay in bed at night, now, I shiver and jump. The noises of the house no longer scare me. But when my husband passes our house during his postal route, my blood runs cold. Context. It's a strange thing. It's a good little story. I like that one. I like that one better than the original, I think. What was it? Dangers of Fame. Dangers of Fame was good too, don't get me wrong. But that one was really good. Say hello, everyone. We've got Abby Evans Artistry here. She just got in from the storm. If you hear any noise in the background, we're currently getting pounded by a storm that sounded dirtier than it meant to. But yeah, this crazy storm.
I was about to say I'm so wet, but I meant because of the rain.
I'm just that sexy, guys. Beneath the mask, I'm that sexy.
Okay, I'm gonna go dry off. Do you see this?
You are drenched. Yeah. How bad's the weather out there?
Oh,
is it still coming down heavy?
It stopped for a second, and that's why I was able to come home. But if you guys must know, I may have risked myself this evening for the sake of going to get a plant from a friend. You know what? All for the love of plants. Anyways, I'm gonna go change my clothes. Bye.
And just like that, I'm gonna start drinking.
For what?
I'm gonna start drinking tonight. You're scaring me.
What? That's not nice.
Hey. Well. I guess we'll call that an episode. Hope you guys enjoyed, and check out the next one. If you liked the story, comment below. If you didn't, comment below. We love you very much. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the darkness around you. Have a good night, guys. We love you.